So Patriots Day is a movie directed by Peter Berg. Yes, that Peter Berg. The same Peter Berg that brought us Lone Survivor and Deepwater Horizon, which made my honorable mentions for my Justice League last year. This one once again stars Mark Wahlberg and Michelle Monaghan and J.K. Simmons, John Goodman, the Baconator, Kevin Bacon. I mean, it stars a lot of really talented people. This tells the true story, the true heartbreaking, terrible story of the events of the Boston Marathon bombings from a few years ago. Hard to believe that that shit happened 4 years ago. Back in 2013, there was a huge terrorist attack at the Boston Marathon, and a lot of people were either hurt or killed. This tells the true story of the cops and the first responders and the people involved in that situation. And then the massive manhunt for the Snarev brother. I don't know how to pronounce the scumbags' names, but Snarev. I'm just gonna call them Douche 1 and Douche 2. Thing 1, Thing 2, Douche 1, Douche 2. Right off the bat, I'm gonna tell you this. I was not emotionally prepared to watch this movie. Not at all. I was going into this movie expecting a pillow fight, a really soft, heartfelt thing, and instead I got hit with an emotional Roy Jones Jr. haymaker. Yeah, you remember Ronda Rousey's face back in 2016? Yeah, that's pretty much me emotionally after this movie. Honestly, I had a couple of questions coming into this movie. One was like, is this too soon? Why are we doing this? Do we need to make a movie about everything? I mean, yeah, of course, it's Hollywood. I expected there to be a movie about this one day, but I was like, do we really need that kind of movie now? And is it gonna feel too Hollywood? Is it gonna feel too over-dramatized? After having seen the movie, I can officially say that not only is this movie not too soon, I would argue that we could have used this movie 2 years ago. First of all, this movie emotionally resonated with me to my core. Mostly because I remember watching on TV when all this shit happened a few years ago. I remember how I felt. I remember the shock and the anger and the pain and the horror as I saw all these people lying on the street and I saw these huge explosions. Mostly the direction and the performances sell you on the emotion. I mean, they do pay a lot of respect to the story and to the victims and to the situation in general. Marky Mark, he's just old reliable at this point. Mark Wahlberg was great in this movie. There was this one scene in this movie where he's like breaking down in front of his wife. I legit had man tears. I mean, I never cry at the movies. I became one of those single tear people because I had a single tear just in the corner of my eye and I was just like, don't do it. Stand your ground. Not only was Marky Mark great, but pretty much everyone was great in this movie. John Goodman, the police commissioner in Boston, he was great. The Baconator, Kevin Bacon, was really great. He plays the FBI agent trying to find those two scumbag brothers, Douche 1 and Douche 2. It's a really pressurized situation. People in Boston want answers. People in America want justice. And he's the guy that kind of has to regulate and control this whole thing, and there are a lot of demands and a lot of things coming at him at once, and he has to kind of keep a cool head and not let his emotions get in the way. Really, the performances of this movie grounded, because everybody in this movie reacted the way a real person would react when you turned on the TV in 2013 and you saw all of this blood and chaos and confusion. Not to mention the direction for the movie is really strong too. Peter Berg, I feel like this is just his thing now, Peter Berg does such a great job with the direction. He has a lot of close quarters, almost handheld type of camera work. He also does a great job of mixing in footage from like cell phone cameras and traffic cams and stuff like that to really give you a picture and a sense of the things that the investigators and the other people were seeing when this shit was happening. He also has a bold move where he tries to humanize the douches. He tries to make them more than just generic terrorists. He makes them people. And again, that's kind of a risky thing because, we're American. We don't want to humanize them. There is nothing in the world that justifies what the hell went on in Boston that day. You still don't care about them in the sense that they're douchebags, but you care about them in the sense that you know that they're people, and this movie actually does try to humanize. In fact, that humanizing element is in a lot of this movie. They humanize the people involved in this shit. I mean, we see some of the victims. There's a nice tribute at the end of the movie to them as well. And I tell you that shit in this movie got heavy. Shit in this movie got really heavy. I'm talking Snorlax getting a lap dance from Precious kind of heavy. Have you seen Snorlax? My God. This movie has a great message about love and hope and optimism and how it doesn't matter how you feel about Boston. I mean, you could be a chowderhead from Charlestown. You could be like, yeah, go Sox. Or you could be like, yeah, screw the Celtics. But it doesn't matter because on that day, we all were Boston strong. And at the end of the day, we're all Americans. And as long as we put our arms around each other and hold each other up, I feel like that we're a great country and we're going to be able to conquer a lot of the evil shit going on out there in the world. I think we've all got some Superman in our hearts. For one thing, Mark Wahlberg, I'm not sure if his character is actually based on someone in reality. Overall, Mark Wahlberg, while he's great in the movie, and this is one of the best performances I've seen from him, I can't necessarily say that he was, necessary or vital to the story in general. Again, nitpick, because you kind of need a guy like Mark Wahlberg to humanize the story even more, and so that we can have someone that we could see through the eyes who's in there in the middle of all this shit. So there's a couple of moments in this movie where they try to go for some quick little humor, some little quips and stuff, and it's not a big deal. I promise it's not. Well, I would say that, they didn't always work. It's a great movie, and it absolutely is going to get the Superman Prime rating. Which one of the Peter Berg true story movies that he's done? You got Lone Survivor, you got Deepwater Horizon, you got this one. Which one is your favorite if you've seen all three of them? Ooh, you know what I want next? I want Peter Berg to direct the true emotional story of how I stubbed my toe doing the Macarena at my 13-year-old birthday party. Hey, we're talking real trauma here, folks. Guys, like and subscribe, and as always, if you like what you see, tell me how you feel, and stay tuned to hear more from the Man of Steel. Peace.